Hi, everybody. I'm excited for you guys to hear from one of my clients today. Her name is Melody. She just landed a director of design role that also came with a massive salary increase. We're talking about 30 to 40% increase here. She's definitely very impressive with a lot of experience, including management experience, but the director title is not something that she's had before. And I can't stress enough how impressive it is to get that given the current market conditions. So let's bring Melody in and learn a little bit more about her journey, her story, and also how she made the decision to join my coaching program in the first place. Melody, can you just start by introducing yourself and telling us a little bit more about your background?
Yeah, my name is Melody. I've been designing for 13 years. My parents are designers. That's how I got inspired. I've worked at companies like Amazon, Carvana, Citizen, mainly in the public safety space, but also sometimes in fintech as well as now edtech.
Yeah, you had your hands in a lot of different things. All right. So tell me a little bit about how your job search was before you joined the program and some of the challenges that you remember you had before you discovered the program.
So, some of my challenges before, I had a hard time even getting a response from recruiters. I would submit my resume and then sometimes I would not hear back. Or if I did hear back, it would go into the interview stage, but then I wouldn't perform as well throughout the whole interview process.
And for how long did you do that?
Before I found this job, I probably looked for 8 months.
8 months before you found this job that you have right now, right? Yeah. But how
Hmm.
long did you search on your own before you joined this program?
Oh, probably 2, 3 months.
2, 3 months? Okay. And so what was the thing that made you join this program?
I remember just being able to get access to a network of people that would be able to give me a lot of insight on how to better prepare for interviews, negotiate, and I guess just information I didn't have before.
What part do you think about the program did you enjoy most? Let's start with enjoy most first, and then which part was most valuable?
I think learning from everyone around me because there's
Mhm.
different methods to interviewing and networking, and a lot of that I wasn't really quite aware of because I was so focused by my own self, doing my
Yeah.
own thing, using my
Yeah.
own method that I thought
Mhm.
worked but didn't really work. So
Yeah.
when I joined this program, I was able to see different methods of interacting and interviewing and understanding the timing of when to send a thank you note or things like that, little
Yeah.
things like that, and what day to schedule the interview was really helpful. That would be some of the things I enjoyed and also find valuable. But I
Yeah.
think what was valuable was just meeting more people in the program who's also going through the same thing.
Yeah.
That's helpful because you're not searching alone.
It's really important because even with expert support, you're still going to get a lot of rejections in this market. And so it's still a tough game. You
Yeah, of course.
And so I think it's really important to see normalizing it, first of all, but then
Mhm.
also just keep continuing, keeping that resilience, seeing that either it happens to others as well, or seeing that others have overcome that, right? And pass
Mhm.
and do get jobs. You mentioned earlier before that you've done things your way, even though they weren't working.
Yeah.
What were some of those
I
specific?
was blindly submitting and spamming all of my resume. And even then, my resume wasn't even written well at all. So after I joined this program, I
Mhm.
learned how to write better resumes with metrics and just the way that Nils taught me. And
Yeah.
it was
Wait,
very,
Chelsea,
very
so-
helpful.
And did you know back then that it wasn't good enough?
Knew something was missing. And then when I joined the program, that's when I realized, oh, there's actually a really better way to write this. And I was able to update my LinkedIn, which is really important too. And I also
Yes.
learned how to post more often and how
Yes.
to, that was also a part of it, part of the journey. I
Yes.
know a lot has happened in between 8 months, but looking back, there's a lot of things that I learned along the way.
Yeah, 100%. And you've grown a lot. You've very much transformed from the moment I first met you to now, much more mature in terms of how you carry yourself.
Mm,
And I remember in terms of content, even though that's not really something that you were doing regularly before at all, right?
I wasn't, but now I know how to strategize with content and producing content and how that works, gaining attention that I need.
And you had a lot of success with that, no? You
Yeah,
posted
that was really
viral, so to speak.
yeah, exactly. And I do want to find time to do it more often because I think it's really important.
Yeah. From what aspect do you find it important? Like even now when you're not searching for a role anymore?
I think people aren't aware of your skills and what you know how to do and how you think. And it's really hard for someone to just take a guess at understanding you. So I think putting content out on LinkedIn or
Yeah.
just writing blogs, just showing how you think is really important.
Yeah. It goes back to what we were saying earlier, right? In terms of just do everything it takes to show your craft instead of just talking about your craft and having posts, and then maybe the image can reflect something that you've either designed or something that you conceptually think about. Even that shows off that craft a little bit more. Just words, basically.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. Is there a specific problem that you think the program has helped you solve?
I think the posting more often, the resume, I didn't know how to do that before, networking. I think I got a lot better at networking and having coffee chats with
Yes.
people and understanding how that works, how important it is to just get coffee chats and talk to
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
and build a relationship. I
It
wasn't doing any of that before, if you think
No.
about it. No, I wasn't.
And tell me why you think it's important now, like what you've learned along the process, why having coffee chats and this kind of things are important, not just to find a job, but for your career progression, for your career trajectory.
I think meeting more people and understanding how they work
Yeah.
just opens the path to more opportunities to do things with other people, whether it's like starting a business. It doesn't even have to be like finding a job, but anything. They can
And
help you find your next husband or whatever it is. But
right,
it's
that's our best friend, right?
our
Yeah,
best friend.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's why they say your network is your net worth. It's true. Yeah, I love that you got more confident with it. Do you think mindset-wise has anything changed for you during the program? What we mean by that is like either confidence or resilience, patience, these kind of things.
I've definitely been those things before, but I think it did make me just open up my knowledge of how things work within the working world and then building relationships with people, which I wasn't doing before. And that was the main part that was kind of new to me. I was building relationships in a different way, but it wasn't the way that you taught me.
What impact does it have doing it the different way, the way that I've taught you?
A huge impact because now I can take these skills and if I do need to find another job or opportunity, I know the steps that I need to take to do them. And I'm
Yeah.
not going to be spamming resumes to all these and apply blindly to all these things. Oh, another thing that I also learned was being able to target like my main interest and understand myself to be able to find the job that is good for me. Not
Yeah.
every job is the right fit for you, but being able to understand what is good for you and know that that's the right fit and recognize that is key too.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
is a skill in itself, right? That
Yeah.
is something that a lot of people need to learn first when they first come in because it seems a bit counterintuitive, but when things get really hard, you actually have to narrow down.
Exactly. That was really helpful, being able to narrow down what I was looking for. Even though some of them, the ones that I wanted, I didn't get, it's okay
Yeah.
because I feel like I did find someone randomly found my perfect fit. Surprisingly, I got this position that was the right fit for me. I had Axon and I had all these other good
I know.
opportunities, but they just never worked out. None of them.
It's just not meant to be because you had so many late stage or final stage interviews,
Yeah.
even though it was disheartening when you don't make it. But based of that, I knew that you were very close though to the finishing line.
Yeah. It's oddly that this company didn't go through a regular interview process. So it
Yeah.
was through a referral. There's someone I knew that I grew up with. And then he referred me to the CEO. And then I ended up contracting part-time
Yeah.
initially. And the first day they're like, okay, if you want to go full-time hours to contract, you
Yeah.
can. So I was like, okay. So we just like full-time and then eventually became a full-time.
That is literally how the job market works at the moment, though. So you have
Yeah.
to show your work basically instead of talking
Yeah.
your work,
I'm
right?
actually better at doing that than talking
Yes,
about
we
it.
talked about that
Because
actually.
because I feel like there's so many people talk about it, but then don't
Yes.
execute. But I'm the opposite where I won't talk about it, but I'll show you.
I remember
Yeah.
us talking about that. I remember us talking about how do we find a way for you to show your talent more
Yeah.
rather than just talk about it? And I think
Yeah.
contracting and volunteering or doing sample projects for them kind of thing,
Yeah, I think it
those
helped.
things.
The
Yeah,
interview process is kind of broken because it's like, how can you tell someone's skills by just talking to them?
100%. Some other roles, it might work okay.
Yeah, maybe research works. Research works by talking, I think.
Because then you can see the thought process already. But
Exactly. Design, you need to do the work on the screen.
yeah, I feel like with design, by just talking about it, that's only half of the story because it is important as well because that is design philosophy and ethical aspects of your conceptual thinking, right? So that's important. And then they try to
Yeah.
look at your portfolio and make an assumption on, oh, and this is how she would execute. But
Yeah.
nothing replaces you actually executing, you know what
Yeah, that's true. So I'm really pretty happy that I was able to land the job.
I'm so happy for
I went
you.
to SF. I met the whole team. I went to SF again end of the month. I'm gonna be moving to New York because I think the other designer's there, and I kind of want to collaborate with her more. She's
Yeah.
kind of junior, but I like teaching her and like working with her. And
Gotcha.
even though I've been solo senior IC for a long time, super
Yeah.
IC, it feels good actually to mentor other younger designers.
Yeah, but I mean, you're ready, right? You have so much to give. So
Dude, I have a lot to give.
and so I think that's what you've been probably attracting.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm so happy for you. And you're saying, I'm so glad I have a job, but it's not just a job, right?
It's
It's
not a job. I do feel
an
like this is
amazing
long
role.
term
Yeah.
for me.
And now you're head of design, you get to mentor, you get to manage a team and mentor people, right? So your scope has like dramatically increased.
I probably will have to reach out to you to ask for some advice sometimes if run into anything.
And like I love staying in touch with alumni and for ad hoc and more like career coaching, but more towards like career development,
Yeah, the time is so hard to manage though. It's
That's going to be
difficult.
the most critical thing because you're hands-on as well as
I'm
managing.
very hands-on. Yeah, I'm not like you. I don't think they're good enough for me to like, you go do the work and I'll check it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you
Yeah.
going to go to China to meet the team there as
I
well?
don't know. Who knows? Maybe
That'll be fun. Where are they based in China?
Beijing.
Beijing. Okay, that would be fun.
Yeah, that would be fun.
Shanghai would be more fun, but yeah, Beijing is fun too.
You've been to Shanghai?
I've been to both, yeah, when I
Both.
did Uber because before they sold to Didi, we had like a really strong
Yeah.
China business.
Oh, nice. That's exciting.
That was
Yeah.
fun. Melody, that was crazy how you had all this experience and then all of a sudden I didn't hear from you for like a few weeks, I
I
think.
know. You're probably worried. I was contracting here and I was like trying to stay focused and do my best work.
Yeah, you did. I'm so proud of you.
And even before that, I was taking the design leadership program. So that took up my Tuesday afternoons
Yes.
and then just very tired. So I couldn't commit to our times.
Yeah.
And then I immediately got this one right after.
You put so much work towards it. You also did
A
everything.
lot of interviews too.
And sometimes the end result, the final interview or the one that you get the job with seems a little bit like, oh, out of the blue.
It was out of the blue. I guess
It's
I didn't apply for it.
right. So
Yeah.
it is a bit like that. However, everything that you've actually done intentionally is really
Mhm.
feeding towards it. You wouldn't have been able to have that conviction behind it. You wouldn't have been able to even maybe having the patience towards like, I'm going to work towards the contract first, show them what I'm made of, then turn that into a full time.
Yeah,
And so all that is really coming from your hard work throughout. And so it's all paying off, basically.
that's good.
Yeah.
It was very random that
Yeah.
this job came out of nowhere. And then on top of that, it felt like the right fit, even with me speaking Mandarin and then them having a team in China. That was a
Yeah.
good fit because I can
Okay.
kind of use my Mandarin to explain my designs, even though it's a challenge for me to speak.
Yeah. Is it a US-based company?
So, do you know Andrew Ng from Google?
Yeah.
He funds this company.
He does?
Yeah,
That's so
yeah.
interesting. Okay.
It's called
Yes.
Kira, and it's like Edtech, so it's very similar to the last company that I
Yeah.
was working on. So I was like very familiar with the product.
Right. With that space and the product.
Yeah, with the space and the product, I was like, wow, I didn't know this product existed, but it was very similar.
Honestly, Melody, I know you are happy, but I think they hit the jackpot.
Yeah, I know they did. I
And
have
that's
a
the deal.
solution for all of their
Yeah,
problems. So,
yeah, literally.
yeah.
Sure, we appreciate it, but now let's turn the whole thing around. They are lucky to have you.
They were lacking on the design side. They didn't have a strong designer. The previous designers, I saw some of their documents, they're pretty good with like strategy
Mm.
and thinking, but then the execution was lacking.
Yeah.
Design execution. So I was like, oh,
Yeah.
no. But I was like, I can at least fill their
Oh,
gap.
awesome. I'm so happy for you, Melody. Tell us about your good news. What's the role that you've recently landed?
I landed a director design role, managing a few designers at a small startup called Kara.
You haven't had the director level before, right?
I managed before, but not at a
Yeah.
full-time capacity. It was
Yeah.
more like contract for a set period of time. But I never really saw myself as a manager. I was always on the super IC track and just doing my own thing and really confident with my work
Yeah.
there. But then now I feel like it's another period or stage of growth in managing younger designers, and I feel very responsible for them. It's another learning point for me.
And you're managing their livelihood, right?
I am.
So speaking of that, as you mentioned earlier, definitely reach out anytime if you have any questions along
How to
it.
manage better and stuff.
Just
Yeah.
like any kind of pivoting in terms of up leveling is a big transition. Definitely feel free to reach out.
Okay.
So just in general, how do you feel about your life now compared to how it was before you joined the program, before you landed this role?
Like I know where I'm going in the future. I also feel like I'm more focused in my direction. Whereas before the program, I felt very lost. It's just like I don't know where my future is. I don't know where I'm gonna be. I don't know what I'm gonna be doing or my purpose is. I now have a clearer picture.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Going back to that moment before you joined the program, because I know that a lot of people are going to be interested in that, because in terms of how you've made that decision, obviously in that moment, a lot of people have a long list of pros and cons, and there's some uncertainty to it. How did you make the decision, if you remember?
You have a lot of experience.
Yeah, I'm
That
fishing
was
for
one.
compliments. Like
Well,
maybe talk about what concerns you have and then what things are not a concern or how you solve for that.
I basically had no idea there was like some underground job list or
Yeah, like the
whatever, and
hidden,
I was
yeah, the
curious
hidden
about
job
it.
market.
The
Yeah.
hidden job market.
Oh, you're right. I'm gonna call it that. You just literally rebranded that.
Yeah, the hidden job list, it was a interesting thing. I didn't know that existed. So like the more that I was learning, the more I was curious about it. And I was curious about what the whole program would be like. And obviously I'm someone who always wants to grow and change. So that was pretty much why I decided to take it.
What were some of the strongest points for the program that was resonating with you? You mentioned earlier that I have a lot of experience. Any sort of like other factors? What are some of the strongest factors for you? Let's talk about those first.
I think one is searching alone. I also didn't want to search alone, so I wanted to be with a group of people who was also going through the same thing, and maybe we could
Yeah.
work together to figure out how
Yeah.
to get hired. And I think the other thing that stood out was when the idea of the dream job, that I was also tired of jumping around from job to job and then being unhappy with my role or
Yeah.
salary and not being able to figure out the right job with the position that I want and the role that I
Yeah.
want and the salary that I want.
What are some of the things that help you gain confidence in joining the program? What were the selling factors for you personally?
Being able to be more targeted in my approach, also not having to search alone was another thing.
But you weren't in the program for the whole 8 months, though, right? You were in here for 5 months, right? Like the whole
No,
search
I
was.
wasn't there for the whole 8 months
Yeah.
because I was also in the other programs, like design. I was trying to take all these programs, like upskill, but your program was very helpful.
Oh, that's great to hear. What were some of the hesitations
Oh
you
yeah. I wasn't sure if it was credible at first. At first I was like, this is a lot of money I'm putting in, but I'm not sure if it's gonna work.
Yeah, that's literally the thought that many people have.
But I think over time, as I started doing the program, I don't realize that I'm growing, but I'm growing because a lot of time passes and then I'll do the things you ask me to do and then I do them and I see the result and I'm like, okay, that's then you learn that works
Yeah.
and you know
So
to do it next time.
you,
Because I didn't have this thought before. I didn't
mm,
know any of this before. I
what do
would
you
continue the same behavior of spamming my resumes
Oh, okay.
everywhere.
Yeah. So once you join the program, then obviously you've learned things and then you see the support, the guidance, and then you're more convinced of it, obviously, that it was the right decision. But before you even joined, you didn't know that. So how did you manage your noisy brain? And by your noisy brain, I mean
It
all of
was
us.
sort
That's
of
the
a
human brain,
risk.
right?
Risk taker.
I like that.
I do fail sometimes, but I also sometimes don't fail. So it was a risk because I didn't know what I was getting myself into, but I also wanted a dream job and I
Mhm.
was searching for that. And that was really important to me. So I was willing to risk a little bit for
Yeah,
it.
you had the appetite for that. Do you feel like not joining was also a risk?
Yes, it was a risk both ways. So it was like, if I don't join, I'm going to continue spamming these resumes, not being able to find my dream job, not learning the right strategies or method to look for the job that I want. So it was a risk both ways. If I didn't do the program, I would continue as I was. And then if I did take the program, what if it didn't work out? I mean, it was a possibility, but it was more of a fall in the forward direction than a fall backwards.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, it makes sense, right?
Does make
Like
sense.
you can fall both ways, and if you continue to stick to what you were doing before, then you're falling backwards, and then you can fall forwards, and then you might be a little bit ahead.
That's so good the way you express that, especially since there's a huge risk and almost a guarantee to fail if you keep doing what you are doing and you know that it's not working. If you already know that it's not working, it's not even a risk. It's like literal damage if you just continue doing that.
Mhm.
What advice would you give someone who is considering joining the program, but they are on the fence still, like in that very situation, that moment that you were in?
I would say the same advice that I was saying earlier. You're taking a big risk if you don't do the program, and you're going to continue doing the same patterns, behavior patterns that you're doing before to apply for jobs and not learning new strategies to get the job that you want.
Yeah, I love that.
Mm.
I'm so proud of you, by the way. I can't say it often enough because I mean, I was there with you, right? For a
You're
long
there with me through all the rejections.
Yes,
So,
exactly.
so every time I got rejected, Q,
Yeah.
so I got rejected. I don't know what to do.
And the reason I'm saying I'm so proud of you is because you were honest about that, but at the same time, you also never gave up. You were still very receptive to my feedback and you were still open to try out new things. So when I was saying, okay, let's record it then, let's track it, let's start
Oh
more
yeah.
around things, let's write it down to see that because we need to analyze it. We need to see whether there's a certain pattern, whether you're doing
Mhm.
something that we need to avoid. And so you were still doing all of that versus I know I've seen other candidates sometimes like really burn and crash in that kind of situation. And they're like, "Oh, I don't want to do any of them. I'm just going to
Yeah,
please
yeah,
take a break." But you were just like on it still. You're like, okay, that sucks. That sucks big time, but I'm back. Very
yeah. I
good.
started over a lot with the
Yeah.
interview process. Maybe like
Yeah.
4, 5, 6 times. I'll get all the way to the end, and then it didn't work out, and then I start over.
And it's hard for you too because you are a very passionate human being. And so you fall in love with a lot of
I
roles.
do. I fall in love with a lot of roles because I know I'll work hard.
You fall in love with a lot of roles. You fall in love in a lot of teams and you get to know them. And so you
Yeah.
sit in it.
Yeah, every single interview, all the way to the late stage, I was so fully invested from the meta interviews to the Axon interviews, even the Sigma interviews, all of them. But
Yeah.
the funny thing was they're all senior product design roles and roles lower than the one I have now. So I'm very grateful.
And that happens a lot, by the way. Oftentimes, we're actually ready for the next level. That's why we get rejected for literally lower roles. I remember before I landed my first big name, big company name role, I remember I
Mhm.
got rejected from a bunch of no-name roles, actually, no-name companies.
Yeah, I
You
felt
know,
like there were some that I was qualified for, but got rejected from.
100%. You could have done all of that. Yeah, you could have done all of
Yeah,
that. That's why I was also always telling you, like, it's not about whether you can do that. It's really a matter of, especially at final round, sometimes
Mhm.
they are just not as convinced. That's about perception, basically, right? Like what
Mhm.
we come across, it might be a cultural thing, it might be something very subtle, which is why I wanted to analyze it. And
Yeah.
but it's not about like, oh, she can't get the job done. It's never about that.
This interview process with this company was very different in that I didn't go through the 3-step round. I was just like, here, let's just try you out, see how you do. I think they were right in taking this approach when it
Yeah.
comes to design, at least.
I think a lot of other companies should do the same. Just pay people for that trial period and then get them on board. I think that's how it actually got really popular. I think that's how it also started with the whole contract to hire kind of roles, but then it got almost misused. It got overused. And then for roles
Yeah.
actually are never meant to be converted into full-time.
Very true.
And they still use that just to make it more attractive, you know?
Yeah, and then the long-term contracts are interesting too, that go for like 9, 10 months. Like, why don't
Yeah.
you just convert to full-time? I mean,
Yeah.
unless they're overseas, then it makes sense, but
Yeah. I literally have people who have been interacting with Google and Meta for 3 or 4 or 5 years,
that's crazy.
and they know a lot, like they have a lot of institutional knowledge, you know?
Yeah.
Definitely time to convert them or bring them on board.